I think it's just because of the description of the action figure. The vibe I get from Armsmaster is Buzz Lightyear. Like, there aren't really any details.
You're telling the truth. That is kind of Buzz, yeah.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And today we're going to talk about Gestation, Chapter 6.
This is the last chapter in the Gestation arc.
I feel like I've gotten off really easily with this arc. I think further arcs, like future arcs, are going to be much longer and have much longer chapters.
Whatever gave you that idea? Did you listen to episode 0?
Yes, you said that, actually. So that's where I got the idea.
Yeah, so what do you think?
The arc ended really well. It's like a conclusive adventure that she went on. There are a lot of threads that have been started that I can see us pulling on. Even though this adventure did wrap up, we have a nice little, like, the last sentence of the chapter is like, oh, tomorrow's a school day. And so that's bringing us back to, like, the sort of bully drama that was happening before. So even though we wrapped up, we have like a thing. I got to that line and was like, ooh, I want to know what happens next. So he's really led us into the next part.
Nice.
Well, we've learned so much about the world. We've met a bunch of cool characters. I have some thoughts and questions about how they're going to interact. Yeah, I think it's going well so far.
Now, I know you just read the chapter, but for our listeners, do you want me to summarize what happened?
I would love you to summarize what happened.
So, when we last left Taylor, she had just been bailed out of a fight with Lung by a group of teen supervillains who mistook her for a supervillain and kind of gave advice like, hey, you know, the authorities are coming, you might want to scram, because if they see, you know, Lung and another villain fighting, they're not going to let you go just because you won. And this sends Taylor into a little bit of a crisis because she's like, oh, they think I'm a villain just because I'm dressed like a scary bug? And when this chapter starts, she's like, well, I figure running from the scene of the crime is worse, so I'll just wait. And who shows up but Armsmaster, the leader of the local protectorate division. He's got sort of like blue body armor. He's got a cool halberd that seems to function as a grappling hook and probably another weapon. And he vaults up onto the roof and talks to her. And after assessing that she is not a threat, they kind of hit it off really well. They're just sort of chatting, exchanging intel. He's trying to figure out what her deal is. Lung was so incapacitated that Armsmaster shot him full of tranquilizers and will be taking him into custody. Then he asks the crucial question, which is, so who's going to get the credit for taking out Lung? And Taylor, you know, is like, oh, that's not what I was expecting him to ask. I thought he was going to ask me to join the wards, which are the teenage division of the protectorate, you know, like working for the government. And he's kind of like, well, look, you know, I'm going to give you the option. Option 1, you take the credit, and then Lung's lackeys, Oni Lee, who we'd mentioned before, and someone who's new in town, Bakuda, who makes super bombs, will be looking for revenge. And, you know, that's a pretty dangerous, they're pretty dangerous folks. And so, like, you know, you just, that's going to be what you're in for. Or, you know, don't take the credit. You can lie low, you know, and maybe come back to this later. And so Taylor is like, okay, well, at least he's not sort of, you know, forcing me to be recruited into the wards program. She thinks sort of like, well, working with the government when teenage capes, she imagines it's going to be just as bad as high school.
Like, she already considered this. She's like, this isn't for me.
So she feels lucky that she sort of got off without getting into trouble. And in fact, Armsmaster says, you know, since he's going to take the credit for Lung, he owes her one. And she decides that she's going to go home. It's, of course, well past midnight on Sunday, heading into another
night.
Week at school. And I think she thinks it could have been worse.
Yeah.
As she goes home.
Yeah, she almost died. She didn't. But she has to go to school tomorrow. Love the pivot. So I realized, listening to you talk about that, Ward is the name of the sequel to Worm, right?
It is.
So I'm guessing the sequel to Worm stars someone in the Ward program. That's That's interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
I only have slightly fewer than 1.6 million words to go before I can find out about that if I want to.
That's true. That's true. If I want to.
We'll see. I don't know. You haven't read it, right?
Well, the listeners I'm sure want to know. I did read Ward before it was finished. So shortly after I finished Worm, I did get into Ward. For spoilery reasons, there are things about it that I think make it harder to get into. And especially, I think most people would advise to take a longer break between Worm and Ward than I did.
Interesting.
It was less that I didn't want to keep reading it and more that I was like, put it down and then got distracted with other stuff.
That's what I did with Worm the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So I have every intention of getting to it at some point, but I am prioritizing now being like a read along with Wildbow reader.
Ones,
so I'm reading Seek, I read Claw, I have read Pact, but Twig and Ward and Pale are the ones in the middle that I have not fully finished. But I kind of know what the deal is with Ward. I got through the first 7 or 8 arcs.
Nice, okay. Speaking of knowing the deal, so we're learning so much about the Protectorate here.
Finally, getting some details.
Yeah, so it is a government-sponsored organization, we learn. They have a base in each quote-unquote Cape City, so I guess cities with a high concentration of heroes and villains.
And that contextualizes previously we learned Brockton Bay is like in the top 10, but not the top 5.
Exactly. Sort of. This is the Protectorate East-Northeast.
East-Northeast. So Armsmaster is the head honcho, but he's one of, like a dozen or more,
head honchos of the Protectorate. Branches,
Taylor describes him as like, if you imagine the poster where all the superheroes are lined up, he's like in the V, but like on the side. Like he's not.
Although, I mean, it sounds like that's like the top capes of like the US and Canada, and he is on that. He is
that's
in
true.
That V.
Right. So he's not like one of 20. Maybe he's like one of 10. Maybe even one of 5.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty big deal.
The core group of the top Protectorate members. Yeah. It does seem like he was a pretty big deal, and he was an interesting guy. So he has a cool weapon. I was, when you asked me about Armsmaster's powers, I was like, I mean, sounds like he'd be good at weapons, but I kind of assumed that they would all have like a supernatural ability.
Oh, interesting.
And it sounds like he probably has some sort of like super ability to use science. Like,
okay.
I mean, that's what he has tinker powers. He's a tinker.
We learned about our first cape classification.
Yeah, which feels a little unintuitive to me as a cape classification. Like, I feel like if you're making cool weapons, like, I don't know, you could sell them and become a tech billionaire.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, it doesn't...
Iron Man's right there, yeah.
No, that is true. It's not a power that is limited to or like specific to yourself. It's like you can make a thing, you could give it to someone else, you could sell it. Like someone else could make a thing and you could have it. Does that make you a cape?
Right.
So like having a super powered weapon, like what if someone takes your weapon, then suddenly you don't have any powers? Like, I mean, I guess with Taylor, if there are no bugs around, she also doesn't have any powers, but the power to control bugs is still in her. So it felt a little unintuitive, or at least surprising as a power classification.
I'll say, I think this is a good thing to put a pin in. Taylor describes a tinker as anyone whose powers give them an advanced grasp of science, which lets them make super tech, ray guns, ice blasters, mech armor, advanced computers. And Armsmaster says, close enough.
Oh!
So we don't actually get the Armsmaster's explanation for what tinkers are.
Right, because there's a lot of mystery about what powers do in general.
And I love this as it's such a funny, to me, way of doing exposition. It almost feels clunky, but Armsmaster as this kind of like...
teacher figure.
Big hero. He's like, are you aware of the tinker classification? Which is like so stilted, except it's coming from
he would totally
like
be stilted that way.
Yeah, a teachery type of figure.
So it's really surprising to me that having an advanced grasp of science results in you being like a crime fighter. Yeah. Like, why don't you get a PhD and write papers and get Nobel Prizes and get recruited by the science tech industries?
This is such a good question that I cannot answer for you, but that you should keep thinking about.
I will keep in mind.
Do you have any... What would your answer to that question be?
I mean, I guess it's possible that having the kind of advanced grasp of science that you have if you are a tinker class cape specifically helps you make weapons that like would be suited to a superhero. I don't know. That feels weird. I feel like you'd probably end up making them for the military, and it would be
interesting.
But I wonder, like, does academia maybe academia doesn't welcome people with superpowers? In which case, couldn't you just hide it? Or maybe there are a bunch of capes. You know, there are a bunch of people with superpowers in academia, and those people just never become known as capes because they're just using their powers for science and,
right,
you know, not fighting crime.
Right. Yeah, that's super interesting. And Taylor did say, I think back in the second chapter, she does talk about, like, people getting costumes and equipment from other capes. So it could be maybe Tinkers play more of a support role on a superhero team.
Yeah. In which case, what the heck would Armsmaster's power be, like, inherently?
No, that's a great question, right? I mean...
Does he just have, like, really good aim? I don't know.
And we don't get really an explanation or a demonstration of his power.
No.
He like,
jumps on the roof with his grappling hook.
He has a grappling hook. He has a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's right. He does say... We don't see it, but he says it seems like he does this all pretty fast, because I don't remember a huge time lag between his arrival and his jumping on the roof.
Yeah, it's pretty much right away.
He gave Lung a bunch of tranquilizers and then put him in a steel cage, which he welded to the sidewalk.
Yes.
Which, like...
I think that's so cool.
Welding was joining metal to other metal, but I guess you can weld metal to the sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I'm not a Tinker class cape, so I don't know.
Maybe they have metal sidewalks in Brockton. No, I think that's probably just... Armsmaster may not be that good at word choice.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do... So we've been talking a lot about this guy, Armsmaster. Yeah. I want to read some of just the description of him. Yeah. So the first thing I talked about, he's in the V, but this was a guy who had his own action figures. Posable Armsmaster with interchangeable halberd parts. He really did look like a superhero, not like some guy in a costume. It was an important distinction. He wore body armor, dark blue with silver highlights, had a sharply angled V-shaped visor covering his eyes and nose. With only the lower half of his face exposed, I could see a beard trimmed to trace the edges of his jaw. If I had to judge with only the lower half of his face to go by, I'd guess he was in his late 20s or early 30s. His trademark and weapon was his halberd, which was basically a spear with an axe head on the end, souped up with gadgets and the kind of technology you generally only saw in science fiction. I knew his weapon could cut through steel as though it was butter, that it had plasma injectors for stuff that the blade alone couldn't cut, and that he could fire off directed electromagnetic pulses to shut down force fields and mechanical devices.
It's pretty powerful.
I'll also add, he has a chest emblem, a silhouette of his visor in blue against a silver background.
So, this guy is a big deal.
Yeah.
He has a weapon. That's his I feel like what he's probably really good at is playing the game. Like, he looks like a superhero. He has a really fancy body armor. He's got, like, the chiseled jaw with, like, stubble or whatever. Yeah. And what we see here is that he just took credit for, like, a superhero action that he didn't do.
Right.
Which, presumably, this isn't the first time he's ever done that. I don't know that anything he told Taylor was incorrect, but he doesn't try to get her to join the wards, even though he does mention it in, like, a sort of non-judgmental way.
Yeah.
Which, like, you would expect, and she expects that, you know, this guy who's the head of the Protectorate probably is aiming to recruit people into it.
Right.
Since sort of being part of the Protectorate seems to be what makes you a good guy. But he doesn't try to get her to join the wards. He offers it as, like, one of the options, but, like, really doesn't push it on her, and is very happy to be, like, to take credit, and then is like, you'll look back on this and think it was a good decision, which makes me think, like, oh, was it a bad decision?
At the very least, it's clear to me that he offers Taylor a choice, knowing with a high degree of confidence what she will pick. I think that he...
And framing it in a way where it's very clear what she should pick, even though she doesn't really want to. Like, exactly. She's, like, really disappointed to have to make that choice.
Exactly. And yeah, she leaves the encounter feeling positively about it overall.
Yeah, like, she likes him. Yeah.
Right. And the thing that I love about this scene, and it was so fun rereading it, is, like, because I remember that Armsmaster kind of, like, takes the credit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of the takeaway from the scene. But as you go through it with Taylor, she has a really strong first impression of him. She's a little intimidated.
A lot of respect.
Yeah, she's worried that he's going to be like, so here's the deal. You got superpowers, you go to the wards, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's worried that she's going to go to, like, New Cape detention or whatever. but he's like a really nice guy. And I'm like, oh man, Armsmaster, like he's like being so good to this like teenager. And then of course you realize along with Taylor, like, oh, he wants something from me, right? Like he sees an opportunity here. Maybe it's to make himself look good, and it's not clear why, or I guess I'd be curious for your take on this. Like, is he like shirking his duty by not conscripting Taylor? Is that like what he's supposed to be doing? Or is this like pretty normal? Like, how much is this an Armsmaster thing versus this is what happens with New Capes thing?
Yeah.
You know, and my initial impression is like, wow, he's a really good recruiter. He's putting Taylor at ease. He's outreach to somebody who's new on the Cape scene and who obviously you want to like keep an eye on and make sure that they're an element you can control or at least keep tabs on. And then at the end he's kind of like, okay, I'll take the credit and I'll owe you one. And then he just lets her go on her way.
Right. He'd rather get the credit than the recruit, I guess.
Right. Which is like, it leaves me feeling a little bit like it's a little sketchy.
Yeah, because I was also, I mean, Taylor's very surprised that he doesn't try harder to recruit her. And it's possible that recruiting people a little bit too hard they found to not be just a very good strategy. Like maybe they're like, oh, okay, it works better if you kind of let people choose their own way. Maybe this is just a really wise policy. I'm just inherently skeptical that a government-sponsored superhero program in a novel is going to be like really
chill.
Yeah, hands off about its recruitment. Like that just doesn't seem likely.
Right.
Where's the story?
Yeah, I guess it's sort of like, right. And if Armsmaster is the boss, it's not like if Taylor went to Armsmaster's boss and said, like, Armsmaster, like, saw me demonstrate my powers, but he didn't bring me in for, like, evaluation, and, like, Armsmaster would get in trouble, right? Like, it might just be because he's the head guy, he gets to make the call. Like, I don't know that there's a bigger system or a set of rules and policies that he's violating, right? Like, right. It's a little unclear how much is it just, like, it's the Armsmaster show versus, like, there is a very rigid hierarchy, and right. Armsmaster's kind of the type of person who is willing to self-deal on the side, because who's going to know what happened here?
Well, it's a little surprising, actually, that the wards program isn't required of young capes, because you would think, like you said, you want to keep an eye on people. And he really offers it as, like, you have two options. You can kind of keep your head down, or you can join the ward program where you'll have support if this comes back to bite you. Yeah. And like I said, government-sponsored organization, I wouldn't expect it to be chill. It's it's surprising that he's not like, okay, we need to get you registered. If you don't join the ward, we'll consider you a villain. Because, again, we have this question where, you know, he's like, you're going to fight me? And she's like, no, I'm a good guy. And right. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, a good guy is defined by your actions, not by what side you take, really. And this, right now, Taylor's understanding of the world is very much positioning people who cooperate with the government, or at least don't violate the government's rules, generally support their actions, are the good guys, and people who operate on their own, or I guess people who break the law are the bad guys. Because, like, she doesn't want to join the government, but she thinks she's a good guy. Right. But so she's on their side. She just doesn't want to really, like, hang out. Right. But groups that, I guess, are criminal somehow. Like, we really haven't had a definition. And we don't know. Right now, she's talked about there being a lot of supervillains in Brockton Bay. Mm-hmm. We've learned about the Protectorate. We haven't learned about any good guys that don't fall under the government umbrella. So honestly, I was a little surprised to hear that Taylor's plan is to go out and prove herself and be a superhero, but she's already kind of ruled out going the official route. Right. And we don't actually have any examples of... Right, is that a viable route? Right. Just being on your own. Are there like a half dozen random teens who claim heroes? To be good guys who are doing stuff? Are there other, like, you know, is there like a social club, or like are there some other like non-government things? Right, yeah. There's like a commune for like good guys, you know, like I don't know what it would be, but and what are like groups like Gru and Co. What makes them villains? Are they actively breaking the law? Are they like stealing stuff? Are they selling drugs? Like what is their... Or is it just that they're resisting government control somehow? But the government doesn't seem to be actively controlling Taylor. Right. So what is it what villainous things are they doing, and why is the Protectorate fighting them?
Right, and Armsmaster says that Gru and Bitch were operating on their... he calls her Hellhound. Gru and Hellhound were operating on their own, but we don't get any details about like what kind of stuff they were doing.
Right.
But he says that they are doing well, whatever that means. Does that just mean like in terms of beating other people in fights? Does it mean doing well?
They're doing well versus the government, versus the Protectorate. It sounded like every time they fight the Protectorate, they either just get away or they win.
Right.
I don't know what winning means. Like, what are their goals?
Yeah, it's very interesting. We don't have a lot of details.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the first moments between Armsmaster and Taylor, which is another bit that I love, where it's really weird that he pops up on the roof and then the first thing he says is, "You gonna fight me?" And it gives Taylor a chance to say, "No, I'm a good guy."
Yeah.
And then he follows up with, "You're telling the truth."
Right.
He like declares it in a definitive way. And it's almost like he's made this initial assessment that she is not a threat, and that's kind of I think what gives her an opportunity to let her guard down and like him an opportunity to say like, "Oh, let me see if I can get credit for this." Like he's gonna, you know, I could easily imagine,
like, a target for my manipulation.
If she tried to run away, or perhaps if she had tried to BS him in some way, he might have been a little bit more hostile. So this is another example of, we had talked last episode about how Taylor's kind of passive. Like, she just didn't say anything when Gru and the others came.
Although she talks a lot to Armsmaster, which is surprising.
At the beginning of the chapter, she's like, well, I'll just do nothing and hope that that's the best outcome. And it kind of is, right?
Yeah.
Like, if she had been running away, Armsmaster might have just thrown a cage on her and come back, right? Like, we don't know.
Yeah. I am so curious. How would he know that she's telling the truth? He sounds very definitive about it.
Right.
And she's surprised by that.
Do you think he's bluffing, or do you think he somehow knows?
I think he somehow knows. Like,
Any
what would be
theories?
the point in him bluffing? Like, I don't know. I mean, he's a tech guy, so possibly he has some piece of tech that, like, is like a lie detector kind of thing. Like, you know, hearing heartbeat irregularities is like kind of a tropey way to know if someone's lying. Or
if he has a lie detector and Taylor says, "I'm a good guy,"
yeah,
you know, that could go a long way, because at least she thinks she's a good guy.
Right, exactly. Or nothing about his weapon requires him to have a superpower.
Yep.
And as Taylor says, someone else could have made this weapon for him. And you were just saying, you know, maybe the Tinker class capes are support people. Maybe someone else did make this weapon for him because he's such a good guy who knows how to play the game and take credit for other people's inventions. And he has a different power.
That would be very tricky.
And that, I mean, that's what you'd want to do if you want to get to the point that he's at in like the superhero hierarchy.
Right.
You would really want to have that kind of advantage where, like, although, I mean, this is a very clumsy, you know, he's like, "You're telling the truth." And you're like, how does he know that? Like, maybe he doesn't care because she's like a 14-year-old, but maybe he has a power of, like, you know, mind reading or truth perception or something that lets him, like, manipulate people better.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a pastime of his. And the weapon is just, you know, he works out a lot so he can use it, and he got it from someone who is a tinker.
Yeah,
so, yeah. That's my current theory on Armsmaster.
That all tracks. All tracks as plausible to me.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think it's just because of the description of the action figure. Like, the vibe I get from Armsmaster is Buzz Lightyear. Like, it's not. They're not real. There aren't really any details.
Or telling the truth. That is kind of Buzz. Yeah.
Right. But like someone whose declarative sentences. You know, like, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know that I've always had canoned Armsmaster as Buzz Lightyear, but at least in this reread, that's the vibe that I'm getting. Another great thing about their interaction is Taylor starts this encounter off in this like really awkward hero worship sort of like situation. And so we were just saying, "You gonna fight me? I'm a good guy." And then he says, "You don't look like one." And Taylor's reaction is like, "Ugh, that stung." It was like Michael Jordan saying you sucked at basketball. And then she's like, "Well, my costume, it was a little last minute." And then that's where there's a long pause before he says, "You're telling the truth." Right, so that's interesting.
Doing his mind reading or something.
But then this little bit, I read about the emblem before, and then she's like, this popped into my head. I had once owned a pair of underpants with his emblem on the front. It's like, of course, like she's such a, she's clearly like a kid who like had like superhero action figures growing up, right?
It's I totally missed that line.
meeting your heroes.
Yeah,
it's like it's such a funny, and I mean, yeah, it definitely could have gone worse. Like, I guess overall, what is your impression of Armsmaster's character? Right, he's a bit of a glory hound, but like,
yeah, he knows how to play the game. He's good at talking. This is why he's in charge of the Protectorate.
He's slick,
very charismatic. He's probably like 90% earnest.
Yeah,
like people like I feel like many people like that. Like I work in development. It's people who are genuinely want to do good things and genuinely like other people and also have goals.
Yeah.
I think that is that's what he's like. It's possible he's much more sinister than that. I don't know. I mean, there's no real way to know at this point.
Yeah. That's kind of answering the question.
I do have some questions about him or the world. I'm not sure which one. So they're talking about Taylor's name. Taylor's like, do you know how hard it is to come up with a bug-themed name that doesn't make me sound like a supervillain or a complete dork? Amazing. So true, Taylor. And he says, I wouldn't know. I got into the game early enough that I didn't have to worry about missing out on all of the good names. Which, two possibilities. So she said he looks like he's in his late 20s, early 30s. So then superhero names have only been around for like 15 years. Like, that seems weird. Like, were there no capes before that? Or did they not choose names? Like that, there's some real big world building question there. Yeah. Or he's actually way older than he seems, which would hint at a different power. And would track with, like, him being this big a deal already. Like, if he's in his late 20s, like, she once had a pair of underpants with his emblem on it. Like, she's only 14, so it probably wasn't that long ago. But, like...
He's been a big deal for at least 5 years.
He's been a big deal for a while. He became a big deal very young, or he's way older than he seems.
Right.
He's looked like he's 30 for, like, 50 years.
Though, if he came up through the wards, that's over a decade.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. He might have been a big deal already in the wards. He does seem to have a gift for the game. And
in particular, there's the hero worship thing, but the way Armsmaster says when Taylor talks about, like, well, I don't think I could have beat Gru and company. I mean, like, Hellhound, quote unquote, on her own would have been too much. But like, I'm so embarrassed that they thought I was a supervillain. And Armsmaster's like, no, it sounds like...
Yeah, they should have, yeah.
Right,
otherwise they would have fought you. That would be bad.
Right, it's good that they didn't fight you. And then she's like, oh yeah, that's that turning a negative into a positive thing that I'm trying to do.
He's so good at that. I'm so impressed.
Right. So like there is like a little bit more of a genuine connection. Yeah. It's not purely the hero worship and then the manipulation. It's like they do kind of talk shop in a nice way. And I feel like Taylor...
talking shop, it was very like collegial.
Exactly. And like I hope that that's something that Taylor can take away from the night that's a positive, that like she made a connection. I mean, it's easy for the local head of the government to say, I owe you one. Like, we'll see whether Taylor will be able to extract a favor easily later. But like, it is a nice positive interaction with an authority figure. And, compared to the way that she was thinking about her teacher at school, right? Like, this is like at least, hopefully, something that she can build upon.
I also think it was such a teenage reaction for her to be like, oh no, they think I'm a bad guy. Just like being so concerned with like self-image, because she's at a stage in her life when she's trying to figure herself out and define herself and like find where to fit in. Whereas he, as this full-grown adult, is like, no, practically speaking, it's good that they thought you were a bad guy so they didn't fight you. Like, of course, that makes perfect sense. But like, she's still caught in this like, I want people to see me as good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And she's probably really hungry for that because she doesn't get that at school. No one likes her at school.
Right.
And so this is so validating. At some point he says like she was like, it's pretty spectacular that she took down Loon.
Right.
And she's like thinking the word, she's like, he said spectacular.
No,
amazing.
And I brought up Mr. Gladly, her teacher.
I forgot his name was Mr. Gladly.
She has that moment in chapter 1 where she's like, I wonder what he would think if he knew that I didn't like him, right? Like, she's like craving this validation, but also so like the insecurity there is that maybe even if he knew everything she thought, he wouldn't care. Like, no one cares about her. And so this is that validation, right? Yeah. It's like she took out Loon. It was spectacular. Armsmaster's going to take the credit, but he owes her one.
But he knows she did it. Yeah, it's so sad that she doesn't want to join the wards because that would be sort of the venue for getting that credit, right? Like entering the superhero world and like being in training with other kids and like having the adults recognize you. But because of how terrible school has been for her, she doesn't want to enter into that. Yeah. And so it really sucks that like school has made her want that, but it's also made her avoid the place where she might get that because, yeah.
Right. She says she wants to avoid teenage drama, adult oversight, and schedules. And
she likes the independence.
The whole agenda of organized heroes who are accountable for their actions.
Yeah. You said you want to be a good guy, Taylor. Be accountable for your actions.
Yeah, it is really sad. It is really sad, yeah. I mean, it would, of course, be a different story, right? It's not the Harry Potter, like, you're a cape, Taylor, and then she goes to the wards, and then she has classes. It's not that story, right? Yes, like, it's a different kind of story.
A lone wolf, a lone worm. That would be a fun story. I mean, that's probably Ward. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she has this whole conversation about Gru and his folk. She basically tells him everything she knows about them.
Oh yeah, she dishes.
This is so interesting to me because we met them, we were introduced to all of them. They identify as quote unquote bad guys and she is not identifying as a bad guy at the moment. But I'm very much assuming she's gonna fall in with them because they're I know she has a group of capes that are her friends. They're the only group of capes we've met. They're about her age. They seem cool. We got a lot of very dynamic and interesting introductions to them. There was some fun banter among them, not really with Taylor, but among the group. And so I'm assuming she's gonna become one of them. That's my prediction at the moment.
Interesting.
But also she just she didn't betray them. She's not on their side. But she did just tell their not exactly their secrets, but what she saw of them operating.
In this chapter, she's overtly helping Armsmaster and only inadvertently helping Gru and the others.
Did she inadvertently help them in this chapter?
Just by fighting Love.
In this arc, yes. Right. She's not trying to help them. They're bad guys. So I'm very torn because I've definitely been assuming, and I assume that Armsmaster is not going to be a force for good in this story, at least. Yeah. And so it's weird to be oh, okay, no, this is the side that Taylor's choosing right now. I guess I can get on board with that. But, I feel like the narrative isn't going in that direction.
So, yeah, there are a couple of sort of plot setup things. I think you had mentioned Armsmaster talks about how Gru and company are new on the scene and they're slippery. They're kind of tough to pin down. He also tells Taylor about Bakuda, the new member of ABB. Who is a super bomb manufacturer. Bakuda, I think, is derived from the Japanese word for bomb, or Japanese word for bomb. But Taylor's reaction is kind of oh yeah, that seems bad. If your power is you can make, bombs from hundreds of years in the future, and that's all you do. It must be pretty bad.
And also we learned that Bakuda made her first appearance and demonstration of her powers by way of a drawn-out terrorism campaign against Cornell University.
Right.
What the heck?
Right.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Why Cornell? What did they do to her?
No, I mean, who knows, right? That's a great question. It
is very funny having, I guess, this Tinker class of capes sort of as a way to explain the supervillain trope of your power is just that you can make cool scientific things green potions that you want to pour on the water supply or
Well, now that you've said that, I think it's absolutely the idea of Tinkers is taking that trope and figuring out why
right,
why are there supervillains like that? And
why do they not just enter the scientific establishment?
And this is why your questions are all totally on point, because I feel one of the things Wildbow is obviously grappling with is wanting to honor these tropes, but then take them a little more seriously and dig a little deeper.
And if you're taking this seriously, I guess maybe the reason that Taylor thinks that she needs to be a good guy, quote unquote, as defined by the Protectorate, I guess, is because the supervillains are these kind of like wacky weirdos who are like, I'm gonna put drugs in the water supply.
Right, so Armsmaster is like, you gonna fight me, expecting if she's a supervillain, she's just gonna start monologuing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then he can get out his cage or his halberd and fight her.
Right. But like if you're taking it more seriously, like why the heck would villains be like that? Like what's in it for them?
Interesting. Yeah, so are we going to get a cackling mad scientist at some point? And if so, why? Yeah, that's
right.
interesting.
And why that instead of, like, what is their motivation for being a mad scientist who makes bombs to terrorize Cornell versus, like, taking out a military contract?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Why not have them be, like, you know, our world equivalent of, like, tech CEOs or militia leaders, you know, like, instead of being cape organizations that are fighting other capes. It's a really good question.
Or just, like gangs in the bad part of town. Like, why? I just saw the line. He had a nice smile, Armsmaster. It made me think that he could win the hearts of a lot of women, whatever the top 2/3 of his face looked like.
Taylor's hilarious. Very funny reactions to Armsmaster in this chapter.
He's not winning her heart. Like, maybe she is, like, you know, interested, attracted, whatever, but, like, the way she thinks of it is, he could win the hearts of a lot of women.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to me, that is, he has a hot smile, but she's not, like, comfortable saying that.
Exactly.
Possibly about any boy.
Right.
But certainly about someone who's twice her age and is, like, one of the most important people.
Exactly.
Probably the most important person she's ever met. Right. So yeah, that's how I read that, rather than like just sort of a cold assessment.
Oh yeah.
And that smile is when actually this is a nice moment for Taylor. Like, she's not just sort of going along with it. She does definitively say, "Please keep my involvement in Lung's capture a secret."
Yeah.
Right. Like she makes it an ask from her, which I think is, you know, she's standing up for herself a little bit, even though she got kind of forced into this option. And yeah, then he jauntily walks away, calling it the PHQ if you're ever in a pinch.
Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to discuss before we get to predictions?
I don't think so. I think that covers it. I mean, yeah, it ends with, I mean, you sort of talked about the ending right at the beginning of the episode.
Ends going with into tomorrow's a school day.
Yeah, it could have been worse. Don't want to go back to school. So what's happening next? I would say since it's the end of an arc, I'd open it up to not just the next chapter, but next arc and beyond if you want to go there.
I think the school bully situation is going to have to play a major role in the next arc at some point, because I think it's going to become irrelevant soon. Like, I imagine she'll move on to bigger and better things. So I think it's probably going to have to be resolved soonish, or at least, if not resolved, something will happen with it that will lead to other things. I think that Taylor's going to break and sick bugs on them.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's going to lead to all sorts of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope we find out why her best friend stopped being her best friend. I don't know, might be too soon for that. In the broader Cape world, I think we're going to see Gru and his friends again. I do think it's going to be a problem that Armsmaster knows a little bit more about Tattletale's powers now.
Do you want to know the arc title?
Oh, sure.
The next arc is 9 chapters, and it's called Insinuation.
All right. Here's what I predict. The bullies are going to go even harder at her. She's going to lose it and sick bugs on them. She's going to be in a lot of trouble and will get rescued from it by Gru and his friends.
Nice.
Who maybe, because she's in high school, they're teenagers, they're probably also in high school.
Nice.
She is not going to want to be allied with them because they're villains, but she won't have a choice because the good guys think that she is, you know, the good guys are against her for sicking bugs on students. I'm not sure how this will work. Like, is her real identity going to be compromised? Seems early for that. I don't know. She is going to say, like, she's going to want to go to PHQ and cash in her favor, but logistically, it's going to be hard for her to pull that off. And eventually, when she does, Armsmaster is going to pretend he, like, never even met her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, there were no witnesses to that meeting.
Yeah.
If he admits to meeting her, he admits that he didn't take out Lung. He's not going to do that.
Right.
And it's
possibly that he didn't recruit her. You know,
possibly
and
that too.
If she just hurt non-capes with bugs,
right,
then that makes his decision not to bring her in look even worse.
Yeah. So he's going to pretend he didn't even know her. So she thinks she has this in with the people in power, but actually the fact that he took credit for her takedown makes him less inclined to help her rather than more.
Nice. And
so she is going to be disillusioned and fall in full time with Gru and his friends.
Nice. I like it. That's all very exciting stuff.
So we know that Gru and Co are like fighting the Protectorate for some reason. I think that there's maybe one of them is a tinker and made something that they can't make again. And the Protectorate has it and they're trying to get it back.
Ooh.
Sort of in line with the Protectorate taking credit for things. Yeah. Or maybe there's it's some heirloom, there's something the Protectorate has that they want to get back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that sets up ongoing
Right, that explains
conflict.
Why they're villains, because what else are they going to be doing? Stealing babies? No.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and I think there's going to be one of them that used to be in the wards.
Ooh, an ex-ward.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I think they're each going to have their own story as to why they are not, why they're bad guys now. I think it's going to have to be Gru or Hellhound because they're the ones that the Protectorate knows something about.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And we barely got anything from Hellhound at all.
I think I'm going to predict why each of them is a bad guy.
Okay.
Gru is the former ward.
Okay.
And so he knows kind of about the system. He has the insider knowledge. Did we find out his power? I forget.
Nope.
Okay, we don't know his power.
Based on his name, you guessed it had something to do with darkness.
Oh, yeah. I think that he took out a villain and maybe Armsmaster or someone else at the Protectorate took credit.
Ooh.
And he was really mad and wouldn't be quiet about it, so they kicked him out.
Ooh.
Hellhound maybe was recruited to join the wards, but refused or left early because she wanted to create these demonic hounds or summon them or whatever, and that was really pretty much against the ethos of the Protectorate, who were no, you can't do that, and she's no, but this is my power, look at my doggies, and so she left.
That's interesting. So almost some powers are totally forbidden, even if you get dealt a power and you want to be a good guy, that might bode ill for Taylor's power. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, bugs, you can do cool things with bugs, but bugs are a little more neutral than demonic dogs. I don't know if they're demons, but Tattletale, I think, never even thought about joining the wards because she knows stuff, she can read people, she knows that the Protectorate's up to crappy things. She was never going to do it. Regent, I think he has daddy issues. Amazing. I love that. We'll see. I don't have much to go on at this point. These are all very good, very specific predictions. The more specific, the better. Right, because then I can be very wrong or very right. Exactly. But Arc 2, Chapter 1 is not what we're reading next. It's not? There is an interlude. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is the first of many interludes. They're usually between arcs, but not always. And they feature the point of view of somebody who is not Taylor. So the most important thing for you to predict is whose perspective will we go to next in the first interlude of Worm. It's not going to be Loon because he's boring. It's not going to be Armsmaster because it's too soon for us to find out what's really going on with the Protectorate. Sure. I think it's also too soon for us to really learn about Tattletale's powers. Could be Tattletale. She is one of your favorite characters, so I assume she gets a point of view at some point. I don't know. I'm torn. I think it's either going to be Tattletale or it's going to be Gru. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Slightly different question. If you're going to get a non-Taylor perspective, whose head would you be most interested in getting inside right now? Oh. Either for, who they are as a person or for just story reasons. I think in terms of, story information, I think that Armsmaster has the most information that we don't have right now. I'm not as interested in him as a person, definitely. Yeah. I think I would choose Tattletale. Yeah. Because I'm really curious about her power. Very mysterious. I really want to know what's going on with this group. They seem like a fun group. I think Taylor's going to end up with them. So I'm excited to know more about their dynamic. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a Tattletale chapter. New cape names in the next? There are two. Okay. First up, Scion. This is Scion. Scion. Yeah. Fascinating. I really want it to be Psy, like Psy. I know. That's why I spelled it. Yeah. Scion. All I can think of is family wealth.
It's not a superpower.
You make money? I don't know. I shouldn't be helping.
It's just a pun. It's someone who is both psychic and can ionize things.
Oh, a psychic ionizer.
Yeah.
Scion. And then Vicare.
Vicare. How do you spell that?
Vikare. And I'll tell you, it's derived from Icarus.
Oh, so it's a flyer.
A flyer?
Yeah, someone who can fly.
Someone who can fly. Yeah.
Vicare.
Cool. Scion Vicare coming up in the next interlude.
Or Icarus was a tinker, obviously. So could be a tinker who's like makes their own wings.
Icarus was a tinker is like blowing my mind.
I mean, it's obvious.
Of
yeah.
course.
I mean, I guess Daedalus was really the tinker, but
maybe that's a parable about if you're a tinker, you shouldn't make stuff for other people. That's why, Jenny.
I guess that's why people just make their own stuff and then fight crime with it or cause crimes. All right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. See you next time.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.